Okay, so then reduce flow. So this is another thing we have to talk about. We have to talk about flow in the blood. So again, we talk about, so reduced flow results in, so the thing is that with your blood, you have to deliver the good stuff, right? You have to deliver the oxygen and nutrients, but you also need to collect the waste. That's why I like saying it's like the delivery, but also the garbage collection as well. But what happens if you have things, or real life analogy, say you're here at the grocery store and the line's getting super long, and what do they typically do if they see the line is getting very long? They open up more lanes, right? So when you do what you do when this happens, if you have some sort of backup in your blood flow, open more lanes, open more registers. And what's the big way of controlling where blood flows? Remember those precapillary sphincters that are before those capillary beds? Yeah, maybe you want to open up more lanes. Maybe you want to open up more capillary beds. So yeah, if you have this backup, then not enough delivery or not enough, or things are backing up like your accumulation of waste, maybe open this up. So this is what you have with control of perfusion. So perfusion is a general term referring to the movement of blood. Well, we usually refer to the movement of blood, but it can be fluids into tissues via our cardiovascular system. Now, autoregulation is a fascinating term. So what happened in terms of our cardiovascular system is our way of kind of these capillary beds, they can actually affect their own blood flow without needing input from your brain and spinal cord or your nerves, and also without the use of endocrine hormones as well. So back to our capillary bed. Remember, we have our precapillary sphincters, so when they contract, they pinch off and they close off blood flow to these capillary vessels. Now, if they're closed like this, it's going to prevent blood flow to this area. But say you have things building up, like carbon dioxide or acid or just a lack of oxygen. The cool thing about this autoregulation, these chemical signals are enough, or sometimes like other things like stretch, are enough to actually tell these precapillary sphincters to open, or the smooth muscles surrounding these arterioles to relax. Thereby, as you open up these precapillary sphincters and relax the smooth muscle, it increases the perfusion to that capillary bed, thereby remedying whatever was triggering it in the first place. So again, this is how your capillaries open more registers. By opening more registers, it helps the flow, it increases the flow to solve the original problems. So again, so what can cause that? Many things can actually cause that. So things like if there's not enough oxygen, what are you going to do? Increase the flow, so you get more oxygen to that capillary or those tissues. And decrease pH. So remember, pH is kind of tricky. When your pH gets lower, the more acidic something becomes. And things like lactic acid, especially like if you know about muscle metabolism, you know like we generate a lot of lactic acid in anaerobic activity. And increased carbon dioxide. When we get to the respiratory system, increased carbon dioxide is linked to decreased pH and more acid production. And the heat as well. So again, remember that your blood, especially the plasma, contains mostly water. Water retains heat, so if you're able to kind of increase the flow to the area, you can dissipate the heat as well. Chemical triggers as well, such as histamines and nitric oxide. So this is one thing, like when you have these local and I really emphasize this local vasodilators, is that they supply that local area. So if only one part of your body is experiencing like increased carbon dioxide or acidification, it's not going to cause all the vessels in your body to open up. These autoregulation mechanisms and vasodilators, they act where they're needed. So they're not going to affect the whole body. So we call it, when it's the whole body, we call it systemic. When it's only in the concentrated area being affected, we call it local. And these are triggers of local vasodilation.